Alan Ritchson suffered worst few minutes of his life filming Reacher Season 3 finale. Alan Ritchson is quite used to dishing out a beating as Jack Reacher in Prime Video's action series based on the novel of Lee Child. But while filming the finale of Reacher Season 3, things got a little rougher than expected when he insisted on doing one stunt himself and ended up paying dearly for his determination to deliver a real performance. The series finale of Reacher's third season delivered one of the franchise's most brutal fight scenes, which saw Reacher take on the mighty Polly in a barn brawl that became an incredibly tense battle to watch and, apparently, to film. The final showdown between the pair took almost a month to film, which is not surprising considering the epic battle occupies almost 30 minutes of the episode, and one moment in particular put Ritchson through hell. The whole point is you just watch Reacher get ragdolled for 5 minutes straight. I wanted the audience to know that I'm doing this for us. I'm taking one for Reacher. While the whole thing played out perfectly for footage, the moment not only took Ritchson to a new level of pain, but also did it in front of his children who were on set that day. He added, "He slammed me through the table so hard, I went through it into the seventh circle of hell, and I woke up a day and a half later. When I came to, I had to tell my kids that I felt great because I didn't want them to think Dad died." Alan Ritchson had to work to get his Reacher role. While it is hard for many people to now see anyone other than Ritchson playing Jack Reacher, there was a time when the role could have gone to someone else. As the actor recently recalled, "It wasn't an easy get. It was an 8-month audition process. You think I felt wanted at the end of an 8-month process? And then I found out after the fact they promised the job to another dude. And I just happened to be crushing the auditions, and they were like, I guess we have to strongly consider this guy who was just supposed to be someone we threw in the mix. And I ended up winning the role." Reacher Season 4 is already on its way, and while the details of that are still being worked out, Reacher fans can also expect to see a spin-off centered on the character of Frances Neagley, played by Maria Stern in the series. The spin-off is also in production and will no doubt be heading to Prime Video sometime towards the end of the year. Meanwhile, Reacher has continued to dominate Prime Video's charts globally, easily holding off all who have challenged it in the last few weeks. With the show seeming to be only growing in popularity, it is unlikely that the next season will be the last, and Reacher looks to have a very long future ahead. Alan Ritchson isn't a man easily shaken. Towering at 6'3", with the chiseled build of a Greek statue and the dry wit to match, he's made for roles like Jack Reacher, the ex-military drifter turned vigilante hero who can dismantle a bar full of bad guys before his coffee gets cold. But even Reacher, it seems, has his limits, and Ritchson found his during the heart-pounding climax of Reacher Season 3. In a recent interview, Ritchson opened up about a particularly brutal sequence in the season finale, calling it the worst few minutes of his life, a bold statement from a man who once filmed shirtless scenes in the Canadian winter and voluntarily took MMA training for fun. So what happened on set that nearly broke the man built like a battering ram? The answer lies in a combination of physical extremes, emotional exhaustion, and the sheer ambition of one of the most intense action scenes ever attempted on the show. A scene straight out of a nightmare. Season 3 of Reacher, based on Lee Child's Persuader, escalates the action in every way. The finale features a harrowing sequence set in an underground drug facility deep within a converted naval base. It's claustrophobic, dark, and filled with labyrinthine tunnels, the perfect place for an ambush. "Picture this," Ritchson said. "You're underground, the air is thick with dust and fake smoke, there's no ventilation, and you're doing full-out fight choreography for 10 minutes straight while carrying 40 extra pounds of gear. Oh, and you're doing it over and over and over again for 12 hours. The scene demanded that Ritchson engage in hand-to-hand combat with 5 stuntmen in a tightly confined space with walls rigged to collapse, pipes overhead spraying mist, and timed explosions shaking the floor. But it wasn't the choreography that pushed him over the edge, it was the heat. It was over 110 degrees down there with the lights on," he revealed. "We had guys fainting between takes. I got dizzy more than once, and during one reset, I blacked out for a second. I thought, this is it, I'm going to be the guy who passes out on camera in front of 100 people. A psychological toll." While the physical demands were brutal, Ritchson said the real test was mental. "We'd already shot 10 straight days of heavy action scenes," he said. "Everyone was tired. You're not eating right, you're not sleeping much. And when your body gives out but the cameras are still rolling, your mind starts playing tricks on you. At one point, between takes, he sat slumped against a wall, drenched in sweat, gasping for air. I remember thinking, I don't care about the show right now. I just want to survive this day. That's not a good place to be mentally. Ritchson credits his stunt team for helping him push through. Those guys are warriors, he said. They don't get enough credit. They're doing the same stuff I am, but with less attention and often more risk. A bond forged in fire. Despite the suffering, the experience also brought the cast and crew closer together. It was hell, Ritchson admitted, but there's something about going through that with people who've got your back that changes you. I'll never forget that day. Not because I want to remember it, but because I can't forget it. He also joked that the trauma was at least partially self-inflicted. I insisted on doing my own stunts for that scene, he laughed. The producers were like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "I am Reacher," and then halfway through I was like, "Okay, maybe Reacher needs a nap." Fan expectations are high. The pressure to deliver an unforgettable finale wasn't just internal. With the success of Reacher seasons 1 and 2, and with fans of Lee Child's novels keeping a sharp eye on every detail, the stakes were high. Reacher isn't just another show to people, Ritchson said. It's sacred ground. Book fans know these stories inside and out. If we don't get it right, they'll let us know. So we knew we had to go big. That ambition paid off. According to early reactions from test screenings, the finale is being called one of the most electrifying hours of television in recent memory. One Amazon executive reportedly called it, "The Raid meets The Fugitive with a side of Die Hard." Aftermath and recovery. Following the shoot, Ritchson said he needed a full week just to recover. I couldn't move my neck for 3 days. My shoulders were wrecked. My wife saw me come home and said, "You look like you fought a bear." And I told her, "I think the bear won." He even considered seeing a physical therapist, but instead opted for what he calls his miracle cure: ice baths, protein shakes, and 72 hours of silence. I didn't talk to anyone. I just stared at the ceiling and let my body reboot. A legacy moment. Despite the toll it took, Ritchson doesn't regret a second of it. When people see that finale, they'll know we didn't hold back, he said. I gave it everything I had. I left part of myself in that scene, literally. I think my elbow skin is still on one of the walls down there. And though the moment may have been the worst of his life, it's also one of the proudest. Pain is temporary, he said with a grin. But epic is forever. So when season 3 drops and that final showdown kicks in, remember, what you're watching isn't just acting. It's a man putting his body and soul on the line to bring one of fiction's toughest heroes to life, and surviving barely to tell the tale. Want a headline variation or a shorter version for social posts or newsletters? Following the shoot, Ritchson said he needed a full week just to recover. I couldn't move my neck for 3 days. My shoulders were wrecked. My wife saw me come home and said, "You look like you fought a bear." And I told her, "I think the bear won." He even considered seeing a physical therapist, but instead opted for what he calls his miracle cure: ice baths, protein shakes, and 72 hours of silence.